Kia ora, I'm Nick Morrison from Goa Consulting, and in this video, I'm going to talk to you about developing a sustainability strategy. I'm going to cover off what a sustainability strategy is, why produce one, how to produce one, and how to succeed in executing one. So, what is a sustainability strategy? Well, ultimately, it is a document that specifies your material impacts, the key impacts that your business is having on the environment and on people and on the economy. And then it details your goals for each one of those material impacts or those focus areas. And then it provides specific, measurable, aspirational, results-driven, and timely targets to achieve those goals, or commonly known as the SMART acronym. Why produce one? Businesses are facing a huge number of complex and interconnected challenges. And it's really important that businesses acknowledge our old economic system or our current economic system has run its course and a new economy is developing. And that is being driven by science, by physics, by biology, and by chemistry. There is only so much pollution we can put into the atmosphere, into our rivers, into our soils. There's only so much waste we can produce. There's only so many trees that we can cut down before our planet starts to change and starts to become uninhabitable for humans to live on and for businesses to thrive. So, going through a sustainability strategy will force your organization to deep dive into what sustainability means for your business, for your industry, and for the markets that you serve. There's uncomfortable and awkward conversations that need to be had, and developing a sustainability strategy will force your organization to go there and to talk about these challenging and complex problems. And not only just with your business and internal stakeholders, but also your external stakeholders, your suppliers, your industry body, maybe local government or national government, to understand what they're trying to do and what their goals and aspirations are. So how do you do it? So you want to start by engaging with your stakeholders. So we call this stakeholder engagement. You need to identify who your stakeholders are. And a stakeholder is any organization or any person that your business or organization interacts with or impacts on. So it's a huge number of people and organizations. So you need to go through a process of identifying who are the most important stakeholders to your organization. So commonly that is the owners of the organization, the management team, if there's a board, and of course your staff, your team, customers, maybe an industry body or two or more, so on and so forth. You then try and sort of weight those stakeholders in terms of their importance, and then you decide on how you're going to engage with them. So typically that will look like a bunch of interviews, maybe some focus groups, some surveys, and then maybe even some phone calls. Sometimes you have to meet people where they are, and then ask them questions about their thoughts on your current sustainability performance and what you should be focusing on, what their concerns are around your impacts on people and the environment, and what they're currently doing in their own sustainability journey, and how you could help them. Once you've done that piece of engagement, you then pull that all together and review what you found. Review what the key opportunities were, the key challenges that were identified, and what different stakeholders and different stakeholder groups thought you should sort of focus on. From there, you then want to go through a bit of a learning journey. What we do with the clients we work with is take them through a workshop session to explain what the latest science is telling us around those key impacts I talked about earlier. So climate change, biodiversity loss, plastics, inequality, mental health, health and well-being, so on and so forth. You need to understand the big picture, what is going on, and you need to understand what's going on at a global level, at a local level, or a national level, and then at your industry level. So you need to do some research, you need to do some learning, and you need to really understand that big picture. And then you need to think about where you want to fit in as an organization as part of this change, as part of this transition from the old economy to the new. Where are you going to fit in? What role do you want to play? Do you want to be a world leader, an industry leader, or do you want to follow closely behind, or are you just going to sort of be doing the bare minimum? Whatever that is, you need to come together as an organization and agree on that. And there's always going to be a bit of internal disagreement on that, and that's totally fine. That's why we have teams, right, to strengthen the organization rather than just having one train of thought. So you want that diversity of thought and you want that diversity of opinion, but then you need to work through and navigate as an organization, and especially as business leaders, what you're going to focus on, where your level of ambition is. Once you've done that, you then need to focus on your material impacts or your focus areas. So looking at what the stakeholders told you, and then based on your own research and knowledge and understanding of your industry and your organization, you then need to pick out where you're going to focus your attention, because you can't do it all. Sustainability covers so many areas, and it's just unfeasible for businesses to make meaningful impact across all of them. So this is that materiality assessment. So zone in and choose your key areas that you're going to focus on, or what we call material impacts. Typically it's sort of 4, 5, 6. Some businesses do more. We've had businesses do, 8, 9, 10 before. Whatever it is, you need to land on where they are and what those impacts are. And then you need to go away and draft up your strategy. So what is the headline goal for each one of those impacts? What is your ultimate goal you're trying to achieve? Or at least what's the goal you're trying to achieve for the next, say, 3 years, which is typically how long we write our strategies for. Then you need to go away and draft up your targets for achieving that goal. So these are where it needs to be specific, measurable, aspirational, results-driven, and timely. So we would typically divide our strategies into 3 years. So there's the timely piece. You're going to achieve this target in this year, or in this year. You need to be specific. So not just we're going to reduce our emissions, but we're going to reduce our emissions by X% by this date. And that needs to be measurable, and it needs to be clearly communicatable as well. Once you've done that and you've set this pathway to achieve each one of those goals, typically we'll see somewhere around 10 or so targets under each goal. Once you've done that, once you've drafted the strategy, you need to come back together with your key decision makers and go through it line by line. Is this language right? Are we trying to reduce our emissions in line with climate science? Are we trying to reduce our emissions by a percentage? Are we trying to eliminate waste out of our supply chain? Are we trying to achieve 100% recyclable packaging, or is it 80%, or whatever? You need to align on that, and you need to go through line by line and finalize that strategy. Once it's finalized, and that can take some time, once it's finalized, you then want to share that. You want to share that with your team. You want to make sure that you share it with your key stakeholders, and especially those that you engaged earlier on in the process. And then later on, in about a year's time, you want to report on your progress. Some businesses will report more frequently, but at the bare minimum, you want to do a progress report after a year to say what you achieved. But that's a video for another day. So that's a quick overview of what it is, why do it, and how to create a sustainability strategy. Lastly, I just want to talk to how to succeed in developing a sustainability strategy, and ultimately how to succeed in executing it. Because the uncomfortable truth is, till this point, it's just talking and words on a page. It's not having really any impact other than starting to engage your stakeholders on the journey. So how to succeed? Firstly, start with the end in mind. Okay, so as you start this journey and you're thinking about who's going to be involved, think about who's going to be responsible for executing it, who's going to be doing the work on the ground to change your packaging, to measure your emissions, to survey your staff about their health and well-being. Okay, so think about who's going to be involved in the execution, and get them involved early on. They might not necessarily be right there at decision-making table, but they're at least informed of what's happening and what's coming. You need to think about too, who's going to be responsible for keeping people accountable. Is that going to be at the CEO level, the general manager? Is it going to be each individual manager or chief executive across the different departments of the organization? Is it going to sit at board level? Are you going to have an individual, a specific sustainability manager or someone else who's responsible for the delivery of this? Or are you going to get external help with that? You really need to think about your current levels of capability and confidence around sustainability. So across the organization, how confident do you feel about it, and how capable are you to undertake this journey? What external help do you need, if any? Who are you going to engage internally with, who have got that capability, that knowledge, that confidence to then help lead this and drive this forward? And then what tools do you currently have at your disposal? Do you have a calculator to measure your emissions already? Do you have experts around packaging design? Do you have a website that's clearly communicating what you're trying to do around sustainability, right? So have a really good think about what tools and resources you've got available already. Last couple of points. Bring your people on the journey, okay? It really doesn't work if a strategy is developed at the senior leadership level and then dumped on the team to deliver it. You need to explain to them why. You need to start with the end in mind. You need to bring those key people or inform those key people, and you need to update them on the progress that's happening, okay? Outline the journey that you're going on as an organization and share the progress as you make it. Be genuine, be open-minded, and be prepared to do things differently. Sustainability is ultimately about evolving your business to be part of the new economy. Okay, and so things are going to be different and things are going to have to be done differently. And that can be really hard for a lot of people to adjust. So especially as leaders, you really need to come with an open mind. You need to be genuine in your approach to this, and you need to be prepared to do things differently. And then lastly, be transparent and authentic. This stuff is hard. Changing our entire global economy so that we have a habitable planet and allow people to thrive is incredibly challenging. And it is the challenge for business in the 21st century. So be transparent about those challenges. Be transparent about what you're trying to achieve, and be authentic about the challenges that you are facing and the progress you're making, the learnings that happen. So no matter how well you plan out the strategy, no matter how well the strategy is developed, and if you do all these things I've recommended, there's still going to be hurdles and obstacles that come up that you could not foresee. And you have to approach those with authenticity and honesty and a real sense of being committed to your sustainability performance. And share how you go, share those challenges. People are not going to hold your feet to the fire if you miss out on your target by 6 months or a year, or something's happened, a key person is left and you had to delay that project for that reason. So be transparent and be authentic. So that's pretty much a wrap. That's what a strategy is. It's how to deliver one, and it's how to succeed in one. If you want to know more, please reach out. Thank you very much. Bye.